Infinite's exchange system is, truth be told, pretty underwhelming, and although it is extremely useful for new and returning players, people that had missed out on a lot of those prior events, for people that have been playing the game since launch, quite consistently, which is most of Infinite's player base at this point, it leaves a lot to be desired. Which is of course going to be the topic of today's video. I'll be talking about the exchange itself and the currency that you spend within it, the issues I have with them, and the ways that I think 343 could improve on them to 1. Improve player retention, and 2. To create a more engaging system for all of the people that are currently still playing the game. So anyways, without wasting any more time, let's jump straight in. So first of all, let's talk about Spartan Points, the currency that you can spend in the exchange to unlock these various items. Right now, there is only 3 ways to earn these Spartan Points, and 2 of these methods do kind of already blend together anyway. The first is via your daily challenge, where players are granted 250 Spartan Points each day that they play a match. And this is fine, it does incentivize players to at least come on once a day, even if it's just to play a single match to earn their Spartan Points. However, 250 really isn't going to get you much, especially when some items cost upward of 10,000 to 30,000. So luckily there is another way to earn Spartan Points through your challenges, which is of course your weekly ultimate reward. We used to get a different item every week, which could range from anything between a coating, an emblem, a weapon charm, or even sometimes a piece of armor. More often than not, it would be something like an emblem, which a lot of people definitely disliked, but instead you now just get 1,000 Spartan Points a week. And again, this sounds fine, I can't really point out too much of an issue with this. However, instead now of just getting a coating or a guaranteed reward every week, you instead just get 1,000 Spartan Points, which isn't enough to afford most of the items available in the exchange. So now we've lost that guarantee of a new reward to unlock every single week. And then the final method to unlock Spartan Points is through the Operation Passes. For those that aren't aware, the Operations are essentially a mini battle pass. Players can earn 20 tiers of free rewards, and once the event has ended, these do remain just like a battle pass in Halo Infinite for players to purchase at a later date. In these Operations, players can earn up to 15,000 Spartan Points, which is of course quite a lot. This decision was made, as opposed to some of the older Operations, in order to replace some of those filler items like we've mentioned before, emblems and weapon charms. And you do get a rather generous amount of the currency from these tiers. But again, you're now not really guaranteed to get specific rewards from each tier, which is quite disappointing. I do definitely prefer having Spartan Points in favour of an emblem or weapon charm, but in comparison to some of the older Operations which allowed players to unlock at least 1 to 2 coatings, we now instead have no coatings whatsoever. And this is based on the past 2 being banished honor and the current Tenrai 4, both of which grant players 15,000 Spartan Points and a few different armor pieces. There is also an emblem at tier 1, but outside of that there is no other rewards other than these Spartan Points, which, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, are great for new players, people that have missed a lot of those old events. However, for someone like myself that has played the game regularly since launch and has unlocked most of the free content, these Spartan Points end up feeling almost completely useless. So as a reward, they don't feel any more rewarding than something like an emblem or weapon charm would, because there's nothing to spend them on. Before we move on to that issue, however, I do just want to say I do feel like there should be more ways to earn Spartan Points, and I know I say that just after saying there's nothing to spend this currency on, but if 343 are going to add more to the exchange, there definitely needs to be more ways to earn these points, preferably things that are available all the time so players can gradually build up this currency, rather than waiting for the next operation, or the next daily challenge, or the next weekly challenge. I propose that players should be able to earn Spartan Points from every match like you do with XP, and it could run off a pretty similar system too. Right now in matchmaking, you can earn extra XP based on various factors. You earn additional XP if you're playing in a featured playlist, if you finish the top 50% of your team, and if you're the MVP of the match. The XP I'm talking about is specifically XP that goes towards Operation Passes and Battle Passes, by the way, not the scoring system for the progression system. But I would say that players should also be able to earn Spartan Points based on those various factors. Maybe you can earn 50 to 100 Spartan Points from each match. That could change depending which playlist you play on, since I believe Big Team Battle awards players more XP since those matches are longer. So let's say you get 50 points from an arena match and 75 from Big Team Battle, with potentially 75 or 150 Spartan points if you're playing on a featured playlist. Then, for finishing in the top 50% of your team, players could earn an extra 50 Spartan points. This is also an additional incentive for people to try harder in a match, which could of course lead to sweatier gameplay, but it would also make players feel rewarded for their efforts. The additional XP that you get, of course, does this same thing, however only temporarily, as soon as you've completed whatever operation or battle pass you're on, once you've completed all of them, you have nothing else to progress anyways. Therefore, the XP becomes completely useless. So, having those Spartan points there too would be extra incentive on top of that and lead to players consistently getting rewarded for consistently playing the game, and people that play better earn more for their efforts. And then on top of that, for getting the MVP of the match, you could maybe get an extra 100 Spartan points on top of everything else. The last mainline entry in the series, Halo 5, of course had rec points and the pack system, and players did earn rec points from every match anyways, so it would be nice if they did something similar with Spartan points. And of course, it doesn't need to be a major amount, but it gives players the opportunity to grind the game, and people that play more will have more Spartan points and can earn those items in the exchange quicker. It also means, again, players aren't just waiting for the next operation to roll around in order to earn more stuff, as they would now have the option to just play and earn whenever they want. I will say, for the most part, Infinite does a pretty good job with its free offerings. The operations are cool because they do last for a month, giving players plenty of time to unlock whatever new items are released. And even before operations with the old event passes we had, they would last 2 weeks, with Fracture events lasting a week but returning multiple times, so there's always been plenty of opportunity to unlock free items. However, since operations are a month long and can be completed pretty damn quickly, it means once you've got it done and you've unlocked that one little set of armor, there is nothing else to earn. Yes, there is hero rank, so I am over-exaggerating a little bit, but that requires quite a demanding amount of playtime just to earn a kit. I've already spoken about the progression system in depth enough times and have a full video on the ways that I would improve that too, which of course I will leave a link to on your screen right now if you want to check that video out, so I'm not going to stay on this point for too long. But I will say something that would definitely help the progression system feel more rewarding to players is adding Spartan points to each tier as well. Again, this doesn't need to be a large amount, it could just be 25 points every time you level up, but it would definitely make the grind feel just that little bit more worth it. Now, before I do move on to my next main point, I do just want to make it clear that I'm fully aware that players don't need to be force-fed consistent rewards in order to make a game more enjoyable, or in order to keep people invested in that game. However, it definitely helps, and players being rewarded for the time they spend in something definitely makes them feel better, and I speak from experience. People want to feel like their time spent in a game is worth it, and giving players more ways to unlock stuff definitely adds to that. Which of course brings me on to my next point, and that is the exchange itself, now that we've spoken about the currency. The exchange system launched back with the release of the Banished on It operation, and it contained a few older cosmetics such as items from the old Yappening event and the Platinum Anniversary coatings, alongside a handful of new additions too. This included the Needleminder helmet attachment, a new utility piece for the Mark 7, the Zandu Farlu crosscore armor coating, and a handful of emblems too. For the most part, people were pretty happy with these new additions, with the exception of the Zandu Farlu coating, since this cost 30,000 points, and for the duration of Banished on It, this would be physically impossible for you to unlock, as there would be no way to earn enough Spartan points. It is now possible to get this coating, not because the price was lowered or because 343 added more ways to get them, but rather because Tenrai 4 released, and now with the stuff that you can get in that operation too, players are of course able to save up enough to unlock it. But this is why I've spent so long talking about potential new ways to earn points, because the fact that this coating has been in the game for over a month and we're now only just able to unlock it because the next event came out and gave us a few more is insane, especially because in my personal opinion the coating isn't even that great. I don't think it's poorly designed by any means, but compared to some of the other ones that are available in the game, I do feel like it's quite basic, and it's also been in the files since Season 2. It also seemed strange that in comparison to other coatings available, like Platinum Anniversary, which only cost 10,000, this cost 3 times the price. Of course, this one was technically new, whereas Platinum Anniversary was a special login bonus during launch. But still, this pricing decision just seemed bizarre. For the entire duration of Banished Honor, the items that I've mentioned were the only things available, which meant there was nothing new added to the exchange for just over a month. However, this has changed with the release of Tenrai 4, which has brought back several cosmetics from the first Tenrai event, a couple new emblems, and a wrist attachment. And that's it. So, if you're someone that played through that original Tenrai event, the only new items available in the exchange were a couple of emblems and a wrist attachment. No new coatings, and no sign of any of those older Tenrai items, like the butterfly petal shoulder pads, that have been shown off before since the game had even launched, yet never released. The exchange exists to, of course, bring back old items, and give players new ways to unlock them, and that's great. But it was also stated that they would use it to bring out some unreleased cosmetics too. But when you wait over a month and the only new cosmetic is a wrist attachment is insane to me. Especially because I already had enough points to just unlock it straight away, so again I have to wait another month to be able to get anything from the exchange. So my next point is 343 definitely need to A, release items in the exchange more consistently, rather than on a monthly basis, why not every 2 weeks? The items in the exchange stay there forever, they're never going to disappear, so you don't have to worry about FOMO. And there has of course been a ton of old items released, whether they be ultimate rewards or from old events. More than enough to allow 343 to release items in the exchange more consistently. And that's specifically just talking about things that are already out. They only released a fraction of things that were released in the original Tenrai event here, and bear in mind since then there was another 2 Tenrai events in between the first one and the one we're on now, so there is plenty if they just want to stay on theme. But even in regards to new or unreleased items they could add, we've already mentioned the butterfly petal shoulder pads. There was also a wrist attachment for this core that was never added, again, that's been visible since Season 1. And there is an abundance of unreleased emblems, coatings, weapon coatings. There's a handful of helmet attachments and so many other things that have just been gathering dust since they've never been added to a store bundle, they've never been added to an event pass or anything else for that matter. So the exchange seems like the perfect place to bring out some of those unreleased cosmetics. And maybe 343 intends to, but right now it definitely feels like they're drip feeding. And when we've waited pretty much 2 years for this exchange system to get added, or a system like this to be implemented, to see everything be released at such a slow rate really boggles my mind. I'm not even asking 343 to make new content for this system, rather just release a ton of those unreleased items that people have been able to view in the Armor Hall for a very long time, even certain items that have been used in promotional material, like the little gas mask helmet attachment for the Cavallano helmet that was shown all the way back with the first Cyber Showdown event in Season 1. Things like that are perfect for this exchange system. We don't necessarily need new sets of free armor, since they'll be bringing some of those old ones back anyway, but it would be cool to have a few more new additional pieces to go alongside it. It just feels strange that this exchange system feels like it's designed in order to benefit new players, yet Infinite doesn't really seem to be in a place where it is drawing in new players. So really I would argue the priority would of course be the remaining player base, the people that have supported this game ever since its launch. And it is great that it brings back some old Ultimate Rewards and old event items, even though there is many more that they could be adding alongside the stuff they already have, rather than just giving it a few new items every month. But I do feel like adding some of those unreleased items that fans have been clamoring for, again since they've been able to view them in the Armor Hall, just makes sense. If item drops within the exchange become a bit more consistent and players are granted more ways to earn the points to spend within the exchange, I definitely feel like this has the opportunity to become a really good system, and if done right can be something that can be carried over to newer titles. We did have something similar in Master Chief Collection and it does work in a pretty similar way. And I am glad the exchange was released in Infinite. Again, I've been advocating for them to bring back some of these old items for newer players or for players that didn't have the chance to complete those original events. I think it's great that it's here, However, for someone like me and a lot of people I know that have played this game consistently since it's launched, I know I've said that so many times, it just really leaves a lot to be desired and nothing really to offer. Anyways, I'm going to wrap that one up here. This ended up being much longer than I ever expected it to be, and I definitely feel like in some places I've probably rambled on a little bit more than I needed to. But of course I did just end up feeling a little bit disappointed with a system that I'd waited quite a while for, because when it finally released, it just hasn't really left much of an impression. This is a good opportunity for 343 to create something to give the remaining players a constant sense of progression, and if it does draw in new players, it gives them a lot of new things to unlock too. So realistically, it can only be something that is beneficial to players. But right now, it's only beneficial to a small fraction of Infinite's player base. Anyways, thank you for watching. Let me know what you all think down in the comments, and I'll catch you all in the next one.